Hey guys, I'm Tom. Thanks for 100 subs. This is my first proper video and I'll admit that it's a bit of a trial run to see how feasible they are to make. I've titled this tutorial as Advanced because it includes the use of plugins, specifically Fast Async World Edit for large scale placement and Builder's Utilities, which essentially disables in-game physical interactions. I've linked downloads to these tools in the description. To take advantage of these plugins, you'll either need to use a public server such as the bakery, and you don't have to install anything for this, or set up your own server, which is surprisingly simple. I've linked a tutorial on how to do this by a YouTuber called Troubleshoot down below as well. Alright, let's go. This tutorial focuses on my cherry tree design, but with some experimentation you can modify the blocks used for your own designs, and I'll show you an example of this at the end, so stay tuned. Following on from that, this is by no means a block for block tutorial, but more of a methodology guide, because all trees will be slightly different. If you are inexperienced, I'd recommend sticking with the blocks used in the video first. I start with the cherry wood block, as well as nether bricks for some variety, as these blocks have very similar colours. When building your tree, you'll want to use a set of blocks that includes stairs, half slabs, and either walls or fences so that you can shape the build naturally. Nether bricks are also perfect for this. I build my main trunk upwards, but stagger it slightly every 4 blocks or so for an organic feel. For the bottom 4 or so blocks, I thicken out the trunk to reflect the beginnings of roots. About a third of the way up from the intended height of the tree, we can start to think about branches. Trees in real life tend to have one main trunk with lots of smaller branches coming off of that, so keep that in mind. At this scale, I build about 5 main branches from the trunk, each extending out on the diagonals and upwards slightly. Next, I go over these branches with my nether brick set, smoothing out the diagonals and tips with slabs, stairs and walls, and, importantly, adding a few smaller branches to each main branch using the walls. Then you can extend the trunk upwards and split that into branches for the top of the tree, ensuring that these new branches fill in the empty space. Remember that we're covering most of this framework up with leaves, so you don't have to go crazy with the shaping as long as the main structure is there. I always end up over detailing there. Now for the fun part. We can use some commands to make our lives a whole lot easier. You can make world edit brushes using any tool that isn't the wooden axe. I make a spherical brush of size 2, made up of 90% air and 10% magenta wool, which is just a placeholder block. Then I mask this brush to air, so that it only replaces air and doesn't delete our hard work. This placeholder block will represent the leaves in shadow, so I right click on the bottoms and sides of the ends of the branches all around the tree, building up a base layer. Make sure that you don't apply the brush too frequently, so that you end up with an effect where the tree appears leafy and transparent in places. This will allow light to shine through naturally. Then, with the same brush size and shape, take a different placeholder block which will represent the leaves in the light, so to speak. Apply this over the tops of the ends of your branches and also over the top of the previous placeholder blocks. It's definitely okay to not cover up all of the darker blocks, as this will give the finished product more visual variety. Once you're happy with the overall shape of the leaves, we can start detailing. Make sure you've got the entire tree selected. First, I replace the air above the dark blocks with non-waterlogged brain coral, because it's a deep pink with a leafy texture. Then, I replace the air above the light blocks with a mix of air, cherry saplings, and pink stained glass panes. That's a mouthful. Remember that if you're building a tree with different colours, you can experiment with different details and blocks. And again, I'll show an example of this at the end. Now we can change the textures. For the cherry tree, I replace the magenta wool with pink glazed terracotta and pink concrete. Then I replace the pink wool with 70% cherry leaves and 30% pink stained glass. The tree has really taken shape now, but we can still add more details. To achieve the effect of droopiness, I hand place a couple more placeholder blocks, coming down in groups from the ends of the branches, averaging approximately 8 blocks long here, so around 4 of one and 4 of the other, but attempting to vary the heights and lengths. For this type of tree, I found that the upper half of the lilac flower was great for the top of the weeps, and that the allium flower worked great for the lower parts. Therefore, I simply placed in those blocks using World Edit. So that's what that tree looked like, but let's quickly check out another style. This classic oak tree is a bit taller, and I did this by staggering the major branches. I used spruce stairs, slabs, fences, fence gates, and trapdoors, all to match the oak log trunk. Then, the leaves are spruce, oak, and azalea, and all of them are topped with 80% grass and 20% green candles. A slightly simpler palette, with no shading, but still very effective in my opinion. If I helped you in any way, you subscribing will help me out in every way. I'll also take this opportunity to shamelessly plug my Instagram and Patreon, both of which can be found on my channel page. If you like my stuff, check them out. Thank you very much for watching, and enjoy this short cinematic.